Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Microsoft. It is time for another update. This was also a stock analysis request from one of the followers, and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests and I'll most likely cover them, especially if there is an actionable trade setup to follow. And in the case of this chart, from a large time frame perspective, we actually have quite many options. I would probably prefer right now the idea of a larger wave tree unfolding. Within this idea, we would have basically a series of 1-2 setups within this area, and a third wave would be expected to unfold at this point. Within this wave tree, we are tracking an impulse, and here we would need to consider a series of 1-2 setups internally within this area, even additional 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, something like that. Could be 4, 5, 1-2 setups, doesn't matter exactly. But here we are looking for a potential wave tree that could have actually formed the top. Within this idea, we need to be prepared for a larger retracement, a larger correction into the area of support between the $298.3 all the way down to the $148.6 level. And as long as we hold realistically the 50% retracement, I cannot really be looking for a bearish scenario. Yeah, sure, it could form. Even a larger correction doesn't need to be exactly perfect in terms of proportions. We could be tracking a slightly different scenario, a slightly different count. We would still be looking for continuation higher. We could be looking even for a potential larger triangle to unfold. I wouldn't look too much into it, but I also wouldn't focus too much on this interpretation, because while it is possible to have formed a top within this wave tree, we should be prepared for extensions higher. We always need to look for extensions higher. And as long as we hold the areas of support for those extensions, we don't have an additional signal that the larger correction has started. What do we actually even have at this point for a signal that it has started? Really? Pretty much nothing. We have a possible full count. We could consider this count full. We wouldn't need any additional extensions higher to consider this correction to have started. But currently, right now, we are focusing on the extension higher, and we have been doing that within multiple counts actually. So within this area, we started with this yellow interpretation. We had here a 1-2 setup, a third wave up, fourth wave down, and then a fifth wave that could extend still higher. I could track this as an ending diagonal. I could track this potentially even as an impulse, to be honest. I could even consider all of this to be a series of 1-2 setups, In fact, within this latest push to the upside, it has been stronger than any of the waves. It does seem to be more impulsive even, and I would consider strongly that this could very easily still extend higher even within a potential 1-2 setup in this area and look for a follow-up wave tree. Could be an impulse, could be an ABC structure. Again, I wouldn't necessarily assume too much in terms of what count it must be, what count must form within this area. In the end, we have other scenarios as well. We were tracking even a potential wave 4 correction in this area, but since we actually formed such a large retracement in this wave 4, I would strongly believe this is a very unlikely scenario. So far, we haven't broken the area of support. Technically, this could still work out. This is still holding, but it is pretty much a low regarded scenario for me, and I probably don't even prefer to continue to track this idea on the chart. Now, what other structures did we have in this area? We were looking for a potential 5-wave move to extend to the downside. We were looking for a potentially more clear and less complex correction. Now, did this happen? Not necessarily, because I believe right now we are dealing within this supposed correction, this supposed wave B, with a WXY pattern. In this case, I actually don't need any additional extensions lower to consider this count full. Once again, we have a potential bottom, and I would be prepared for continuation to the upside, to new all-time highs. Now, we can even remove this orange interpretation, another failure. I don't remember exactly why we had two orange scenarios within this area. We might have considered this to be a truncation, but in the end, I wouldn't think too much of it. I would consider this to be a possible bottom, and I would already start looking for continuation higher. But before we actually get into that, let's look at what we were tracking in the previous video, in the smaller time frame. So in this area, we were looking for a potential bottom to already be in place. We were tracking the orange interpretation specifically because we didn't yet get into the area of support for a wave B, for the $463 level, We did form a bottom above it, and we were prepared for continuation higher without actually getting into this area of support. And by the way, this area of support still remains available. It extends all the way down to the $382 level, and as long as this holds, I would still be looking for continuation higher within this wave to the upside. Within this structure, yeah, at least this one, if this one could be considered complete, which it realistically could. Now, indeed, if we break the last level, the $382, I would be prepared for the retracement into the larger wave 4 area of support. Long term still bullish, but yeah, short term or even mid term, realistically, could take a while longer before we form a bottom and continue in the uptrend. Now, in this structure, in the previous video, we were looking for a potential bottom and we were looking even for something like a 1-2 setup. We did in the end hold the area of support that extended down to the $471. We had the necessary levels hold to continue in an uptrend. Now, unfortunately, from this area, we still needed to extend a little bit higher to create a clear 5-wave move to the upside that could have allowed us to look for a potential 1-2 setup internally, yeah? Another extension higher could have followed afterwards, but it needed to hold here the 50% retracement, the $483 level. Below that, it was a strong signal that we should be prepared for a complete failure of this entire area of support and for continuation lower. Surely enough, it did follow through very nicely, in fact, and yeah, I can actually even remove this interpretation completely. Now, what can we really track within this area? So, in the smaller time frame, I wouldn't look too much into the internal structure of this wave. I could easily still see extensions lower, but I would be looking more specifically at the area of resistance for something like an extension in a larger A, B, C structure. Yeah, this could still form into a larger ending diagonal within a wave 3, and for that we would have the area of resistance that goes all the way up to the $478.4 levels. Above that, we actually need to be prepared for a more direct breakout or at least a push into a larger area of resistance. At this point, I wouldn't necessarily focus too much on that because, yeah, so far we only have a 3-wave pattern to the upside within this area, and yeah, let's even add a potential A, B, C structure to extend still lower. I want you to remember that these structures are quite fragile, especially within these choppy and small time frames. We need to be prepared that, yeah, we actually don't necessarily follow through within the exact interpretations, but the levels of support and resistance are highly relevant. Now, internally, for a structure that could extend higher in a more direct fashion, I would be considering here a potential impulse that could have a series of 1-2 setups in this area, and then this could work out as a wave 3. We would be looking for a wave 4 correction and the 5th wave to follow. Now, it is actually extremely important that we hold the area of support for this correction in the wave 4. If we fall below that, it is for me a strong signal that we should be prepared for a more general failure. Yeah, even if it would work out as a 1-2 setup in the end, I would strongly expect it to hold the 50% retracement. And I'm not saying it could not extend higher if it fails to do so, but the probabilities and the reliability of the pattern wouldn't come out unharmed. And for now, I'm watching here the $460 level for continuation higher. But yeah, if we fail, watch out for the wave C to the downside, or yeah, even a wave 3 could work out. Doesn't matter too much the exact structure. But yeah, for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover. And I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.